So today we're going to do something a little different, not concentrating so much on gutters. We're going to show you how to do a 4-hip roof. This is just a pergola that we did some fixes on, and they're replacing this polycarb sheeting that you can see with tin sheeting, and the main reason is underneath it's all lined with ceiling board, so the polycarb tends to get old and leak. So we're going to take that off. We're going to put on some white surf mist colorbond sheeting. We're going to keep all the ridge capping, and because of that we'll do it a certain way. We'll replace one sheet and then run everything full so the holes line up. And I'll just show you, the main reason is to show you little tips and how things cut and flip on a 4-hipper so that you don't waste any of your sheets. So we'll get to that now. Okay, so we're coming along after a home handyman's already laid these, and you'll see there's a few hidden fixings, which is a nail through the sheet. First of all, that's not good, but so now we just got to take those off. So you will get that on these things. If a home handyman gets it, you might get fixing in weird spots, so we just got to take those out with the sheets as well. But don't do that, that's bad practice. Okay, so you can see to start, I've just put a sheet in where I took that one off. Now the reason for that is because we're not replacing the ridges, I want the holes to go back in the same place, because you can see there's already screws in the ridges. And the idea behind that is to keep those corrugations in the same place the whole way around. So you start at the same spot, do your cuts, finish at the same spot. Hopefully, that's how it works in theory. Now, when you lay your first sheet, you want to get it straight down the bottom. Now, if you have to measure that, measure it. Make sure it's 50 mil is technically the correct amount. You want your sheets to go into gutters, box gutters. Well, box gutters can be a little bit more sometimes, but into gutters it's 50 mil. And you'll notice that one's a bit longer. And that's purely because these sheets are a bit shorter. I measured them all to one length, and I'll show you the quick way to tear those off to make them the right length later. And then you'll see how they'll cut and flip. So that's also one of the reasons why they're all the same length, because when you cut and flip them, you want them all to be probably the longest sheet length. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is just strip the whole lot down this side, and I'm going to lay this entire side so I've got something to walk on, because at the moment you can't walk on the polycarb obviously. And just before we finish that, what you do is after you've laid your first sheet, just got to find my pencil quickly. After you've laid your first sheet, just going to very quickly, you can see on this one it's all done out of the wood, so we're just going to mark where all those wood battens are, okay, from the underneath, because at the end we're going to go along with the string line, a chalk line, and that's how we'll know where they go. Alright, I'm just going to show you what I'm doing on the hip. Obviously I'm just laying it up and past the hip like so, and when I mark it, I'm marking my bottom purling I'm going to screw into, but I'm also marking the middle, okay, which is obviously your hip line, your hip ridge line. So coming up there, because you'll see when I cut it, I use that to mark exactly where I want to cut it. Okay, you can see they're all laid. And what I've done, just put a little screw in the top of the ridge, and what I'm going to do is string line that and cut that off, and then I'll show you where it goes. So there you have it. We've cut that with the shears. They're called shears. You can hand cut them. Obviously that's a mechanical version of it. Now what we've got to do is bend that up. But I know it's really hard to see because these are white sheets, but you can see on the cuts there. Okay. Now what'll happen with those is that offcut will come across and will be the perfect cut for this corner. So from there, we'll bend that up, then we'll move to here. We won't even worry about these sheets just yet. Move to here and start taking the sheets off this way. We'll lay that corner back to here with those sheets in the right position. And then we're just laying in front of ourselves again. All right? And one more thing, just before we go, if you notice the way I'm laying, see, this is your overlap. Yeah. I am laying so that my overlap goes on top. All right. Otherwise, I have to lift every sheet and slide it under. And you see, I'll have to do that with that corner there because that's backlapped, and then it'll be going that way. All right. Okay, so now you can see how that corner down there has flipped. See the line? Beautiful. Don't need to double cut it. Okay, obviously we had to cut the bottom because it comes up a little bit higher. Okay, but now what you've done is as you've laid that, you've come back, you've laid this. So now I'm laying in front of myself again with the overlap, but I've got sheets to walk on. So you're not being left to exposed beams where you can fall through. So you walk on the sheets. It's a safer way to do it. We'll lay that corner. We'll do that over there. We'll lay back. Then we'll cut this corner, which we'll do the far side, and we lay it back across there. We cut that corner, which will then spin and come in down here. So you'll always be, the idea is that you're walking on sheets. First, we've got to go get some sheets. Easiest way to get sheets on the roof. Okay, so here you see me, guys. I'm just laying the sheets in front of me. Because I've done the lap that way, I can lay them without having to lift the sheets. We're removing the old sheets, which had so many nails in them, which made it hard. And the problem is, because I had to walk on those battens, you'll see my shoes get a bit dusty and they become a bit slippery. But we're going to lay through that corner, put in our tacks. You can see how it goes over the top. And then we're pretty much going to do exactly what we did on the other corner. We put a little screw down in the corner. We're going to run a string line straight off, a chalk line straight off it. And then we bring the shears. And as we cut things, I tend to like to just leave them in the gutter. It puts them in the right spot and it allows me to know where they are. Okay, so when I talk to you about turning up sheets, we're talking about the tops, which is up here, and all we're going to do is grab your bend ups and put a couple little turn ups like that. Now, you don't want to put a hole in the bottom of the sheet. All you're doing is bending it up so that in heavy winds, when the water comes up here and hits that, it comes back down, because you're going to have a ridge over the top that doesn't allow it to get any water through it. So that's all it is. If that's not done in heavy winds, sometimes it blows up and over the end of the sheets, you end up with leaking all up your ridge. Okay, here you have us on the corner that flips from the one you've just seen me do. We're getting rid of the polycarb and we'll put in this sheet to get a straight line in the gutter. The polycarb actually made it harder, because normally I will lay from left to right because I'm a right-hander, but on this one I had to lay from right to left, which isn't a problem. I can do it quite easily. But having to remove the polycarb meant I had to stand on the battens, which made my shoes actually quite slippery. So we get it all straight, we screw it in place. That's what I'm going to run my next sheets off, and we're going to get rid of the polycarb. I'm going to put in my next long sheet, which does that entire hip. That will then go in, and I'll replace the next polycarb sheet as I'm going. So I lay one sheet and then I take off a polycarb sheet, lay a sheet, take off a polycarb sheet. That way I'm not walking on so much of the dust and my shoes start to stick. Once that's done, I'm going to put in the corner, and then I'm going to come up to the top and cut those sheets off because they get in the way of the full length sheets. And I'll show you that now. Okay, just quickly I'm going to show you how to do the tearing the top of those off, like I said I would. So. Okay, so there you go. So what you do is you cut the first two ribs and then you tear straight up. Generally it'll tear a little higher, so when you come to your next few ribs you cut it down a bit and just tear it. Same there, down a bit and tear it, and it'll tear off straight. That's how it works. Okay, laying your sheet from first person point of view. So this one's just gone down. We mark where the battens are with the pencil. And we're going to go grab the sheet. Now we have the sheet in place. We're going to lay the back 1.5 on the sheet, all the way up the top. So that one's going to come back. Okay. Now we've lapped it, we're going to work it down with our foot till, and our hands, till it's in line with the other one. so. I'm going to grab a screw, a gun, and get it perfect. Screw it. Once that bottom screws in, I'm going to come up to the middle where we mark the line. I'm going to screw that as well. Okay, here you see me doing this corner from a different angle. Again, the 2 tacks, and we're going to mark. We're going to bring out the other sheet, do the same again. Again, we're string lining, and these will cut and flip to this left-hand side where all those polycarb sheets are that you can see. They will come off, and whatever I cut off there will cut and flip to the back right-hand corner. So then I'll finish the roof off, and then it comes down to bending up. Now, the reason I'm doing a bit of a voiceover on here is all this was filmed on time-lapse, so I didn't realise it doesn't give you any volume. Now, here you can see me, I'm taking off all the nails. All of these sheets were nailed in multiple times, which just made everything hard. So if you're normally removing polycarb, it's not as hard as this. Normally you just unscrew it and throw it off. Okay, we lay to the corner very quickly, and again we cut and flip. I won't bore you with that. We'll move on from here. So here you see me just finishing off the last corner, the last of the cuts. I'm going to throw that one off the roof. Then what we're going to do is we're going to bend up all the hips, which is what I showed you earlier. And the idea of this is to stop all the water running up under high winds, so that you don't end up having it run up under the ridge caps and over the edge of the sheets. We're going to do all the hips. I find the easiest way to do this is work right to left all around the roof. That way you don't miss anything. And then once that's done, you're good to put on your ridge caps. Now you'll see I muck around a bit with these because, again, I'm trying to line the holes up with the top of the ridges. That's the only reason I don't start from the bottom and work to the top. You'll see I do the one side, then I go across the top with the top ridge, and that's purely to get the alignment of the holes. And then I do the left side, which isn't the standard way of doing it, but it's the way I had to do it on this one to just line all those holes up. I threw in a few extra fixings at the time so that the ridges are stuck down a little bit better. And then after that, it's just a matter of making sure everything's watertight. But I'll let you finish off by watching me move like I am Superman. Alright, there it is, all done, fellas. Nice and easy. It wasn't, it was quite a good job actually with the polycarb on. But the main thing is I wanted to show you how the sheets cut and flip so your wastage is less. Now I've just got to blow it down because obviously I've screwed it all off and there's swarf on that roof. Don't leave your swarf on the roof, especially on a white roof. You'll end up with rust stains down it. So I'll finish off with that and maybe a little bit of silicone, but I won't bore you with that. So if you like this, please subscribe. I hope you found it helpful, and I will see you on the next video.